Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is the darkest timeline. We're talking bad times, I'm afraid, bad times, injuries, trips to the doctors, double trips to the cinema, bad writing in TV series. Does that count? We've got movies, games aplenty, TV shows, both flat games and VR games, if that's how that's sort of said these days, and everything in between. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and obviously the one that we like the most, share the podcast around. Please, 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 word of mouth is a big thing for podcasting, and it helps us out massively. It means we can just keep bringing all the episodes that we bring of all the different types. So, please. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. How are you doing? Trying something a bit different today. I'm sat at a funny angle and I'm wondering if I can actually reach the microphone from here. Got the old she's itchy. Got the old leg elevated. It itches. No, before you worry about it, it's not a broken bone. No. Nothing as, I was going to say as fun as that, but I can't imagine a broken bone being all that much fun. Especially since we had a spate of them. Right, let me move up. How's that? If I move this way, does that work? Well, that's not too bad. But it means I can itch it. Oh, itchy. Come on. There we go. Yeah. You'd think I'd have got all the itching and scratching out of the way before pressing record, but why? Why would I deprive you, the lovely listener / viewer, of that delight? So how you been? How's your week been? How's your life treating you? Hope that it's treating you better than mine is treating me. I think I can safely say my life is a complete fucking shit show at the moment. Now, in saying that, the way the world works is now life will remind me that things can always get worse. But yes, having a little bit of a time of it at the moment. Would you like to hear about it? So, I'm in the wrong list. Had to deal with that thing that I was hoping was never going to happen. Hoped, fingers crossed, everything crossed, if I'm honest. Hope. But you know what hope did, don't you? So, my eldest was telling me the other day that she'd had dealings whilst at school. I was like, no. One of those situations sounded tame in comparison to how I imagine things nowadays could be. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't call it bullying. I wouldn't call it, it's not fighting. It's not name calling. Nothing like that. It's more of what I would call a slight. And I was like, oh, that's not good, whilst also sort of counting a few chickens whilst going, well, at least it wasn't this, at least it wasn't that, at least it wasn't, like I say, no fighting and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's that sort of seeing how these things affect her, and I was kind of hoping she wouldn't have this sort of stuff to deal with because of the sort of like the school that she's gone to, stuff like that. But I guess ultimately you're never going to get away from children will be children, and nowadays I don't think I would have wanted to have been a teacher when I was at school. Now there's nothing, I can't imagine anything I would want to do less. I look at that job and think there's surely nothing redeemable about it. And I'm specifically referring to sort of secondary age, because I think up to the last year or so of primary school, most kids are generally good kids. Mostly. I think every class has the naughty boy, or nowadays the naughty girl. Every year has its problems and things, but by that last year of primary school, certainly going into secondary school, let's face it, they all turn into demons. And nowadays, there are absolutely zero repercussions for anything. You can do whatever the fuck you want, and nobody's going to say anything to you. So, who would want to deal with that utter horseshit? Yeah. I had a strange... It was one of those I kind of meant to go back. I had a strange conversation with my middle daughter. In a lot of ways, my middle daughter reminds me of myself when it comes to like being social. Because she's friends with everybody, absolutely everyone. And I had this weird kind of like view of myself at school that I was like, there was a point in time where I would have considered that I didn't really have any friends. But it was then highlighted to me that, when you're like, I haven't got any friends, and then like a parent's like, what are you talking about? You're friends with your entire class. It's like, yeah, but nobody wants to play with me. It's like, it's Christmas Day. People are busy today. It's like, yeah, but... So there was a little bit of that, I was a bit like, I ain't got any friends. It's like, but what about this person? Like, oh, yeah, what about this person? Yeah, this person? Yeah, I guess. It's like, well, that's 3 people, and I'm pretty sure there are more. It's like, oh, I suppose so. And me and my middle daughter got into this conversation about how she is friends with everybody in her class, and then went on about how small her class is. I was like, is that all there is in your class? And then she revealed that, no, she'd only counted the ones she was friends with. Like, that's a lot of people to be friends with. So, yeah, there's a couple of others, but they're not really there. Like, okay. But I don't know. I don't know if she was asking me questions about me, like trying to understand what I was like. Well, was I like her at her age, sort of thing? And I was like, if I'm honest, I was a bit like you. I was reasonably popular, and I I had best friends at times and things like that, but I had friends. I had groups of friends. We always had this thing that we were, we were the outcasts of the school. But then it turned out that because we were the outcasts from this group and that group and the other group, we were the biggest group in the school. So it was a bit of a weird realization where you're like, hang on a minute, your group is like 4 or 5 people, and your group is like 3 or 4 people, and you've got like 6 people in your group. Our group, the people that we spend time with, the people we hang out with, the people that sort of we go round the school at particular times a day, like, break times, lunch times and stuff. There's 14 of us. So it was a bit like, oh, hang on a minute. You started wondering if that made your group the popular group. Yeah, it's all politics, but in a teenage mentality, I suppose. So yeah, dramas. All these dramas. Kind of, like I say, kind of hoping I wasn't going to have to deal with this, but yeah, here we are. I'm hoping that this is the worst that I have to deal with, because, like I say, probably tamer than it definitely could have been, but yeah, I don't think I want it to escalate from here, that's for sure. So, as I alluded to earlier, delicious Guinness. There is a point in time where I've spoken about this before. I've spoken about this in the past. I'm starting to think that it's sort of like a cyclical kind of thing. But I think whatever curses me, whatever curse I've been blessed with, it's not a blessing. Whatever curse I've been blessed with is in full effect at the moment. Everything is fucking garbage. I will talk about my trip to the doctors after this. But I have you ever tried to tell a medical professional that they're wrong? Let me tell you a little story. Not about the doctors. I'll tell you a little story about the doctors in a bit, because that was a fucking wild ride. Let me tell you a different story. Half term last week. And there was 2 things that I knew I wasn't going to be able to get away with. I was like, shit, bro. I don't think I'm getting out of this. Both of them were cinema-related things, and both of them were movie-related things, which is good for the purpose of this, because I've got not 1, not 2, but 3 new films to discuss today. Of 4 film conversations. So I knew that I probably wasn't getting away with having to take a combination of children to the cinema last week. I begrudged both for reasons I'll go into. But something that came up, something that Leanne highlighted, was we had a voucher. The children's nana very kindly buys them a voucher for Christmas for the cinema. It basically gets them through a series of different trips to the cinema. So That was that. The reason I didn't want to necessarily go to the cinema was A, the film that I knew everybody would want to see is a Disney movie, and I pay a lot of money for Disney Plus. And B, the other movie that I knew my eldest would want to see is the latest Mission Impossible, and it's not had the best reviews. So, what sweetened the deal was that I knew that if we were going to go and see it, it's that thing in it, go big or go home, and there is an IMAX in the first city we live in, and that film is available in IMAX, but as we know, things like that are expensive. Very, very expensive. So, day one of having all the children, I'm like, right, I just need to know, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to do the other? We've got some money to spend because I promised them a couple of bits of money for a couple of things. I did some overtime and a couple of other things, and I was like, okay, you can have the money, and because of other things and it being holidays and all this, I was like, look, I'll double the money that I said I'd give you, so everybody can have more money to do more things, because they'd already picked an activity which would have burnt through all of the money, and I was like, but I'm guessing you all want to go to the cinema, so I was like, look, I'll double the money. Ultimately, it was money I was going to spend anyway because it's holidays. So I was like, right, now that I know what we're doing and the days that we're doing them, going to get everything booked. So I used the voucher to book for us to go to see. No, I'm lying. I'm wrong. No, start again. Because the voucher is for one cinema, going there, taking 4 people to go and see Lilo and Stitch, was going to cost an absolute fortune. I was like, well, hang on a minute. What if we go to the other cinema and don't use the voucher? Went and checked the other cinema. They were like, yeah, we've got it half the price they want. So what do you think to that then? And I said, sold. So I paid cash money to go to the other cinema, then used the voucher for me and my eldest to go to the IMAX, balance everything out. It was about the same sort of money. Chicken dinners all round. So, it was day one. Off we go to the cinema. Lilo and Stitch. Let's do this. We saw Lilo and Stitch. We came home. We had our evening at home. I go upstairs in the evening. Check my emails. The other cinema had sent me an email. Oh, how did we do? Hope you enjoyed your movie. What? What? Are you just... How did we do? Are you just asking how the experience of booking the tickets were? That doesn't make any sense. We didn't go there today. We went to the other cinema. We watched Lilo and Stitch. We did not see Mission Impossible this evening because... Oh, fuck. I immediately jump to the booking notification that I've got for booking Mission Impossible at the IMAX. And that was the point in time I realised the error of my ways, because in the process of booking all the things that we were going to do, we were going to go cinema a couple of times, go trampolining, go mini golf, go do all manner of things. Somebody, some fucking moron, didn't change the date for the Mission Impossible booking to the next day, next evening. And, yeah, they wanted to know how we'd enjoyed our film at 11 o'clock at night. And I went, you stupid man. Well, hang on a minute. We didn't go. And they'll know that we didn't go. So I'll just refund those tickets. It might take a few days. I'll buy another set. Yeah, it's an inconvenience, but it'll all be fine. Won't it? Yeah, non-refundable cinema tickets unless you cancel 2 hours in advance of the showing. If you don't do that, non-refundable. £30 of non-refundable cinema tickets. And I know what you're thinking. Well, maybe you should have checked the fucking booking, dickhead. And you, sir, madam, you would be absolutely correct. I should have checked the fucking booking, shouldn't I, you fucking moron? Not you, me. Ow. So, I Jeffed. I was so white hot angry with myself, which I'm sure you can imagine what that's like. I understand you're not as stupid as I am, but I think we've all been angry with ourselves in the past, and I went downstairs and sulked for about an hour. Obviously stumped up the 30 quid to rebook the tickets for the next night. That was a joy to press the process button on that. So this is a twofer. Here's a twofer. Remember that I think it was last week I was talking about time management, and now I don't believe time management is a thing, and I feel like there is just no matter what you do to affect time, you can't. So just is what it is. This morning, now I am injured, incapacitated, whatever you want to call it. I haven't run since last Monday. I haven't climbed in over a week. I am incapable of doing certain things. I've worked out, which has been good to be able to do that, but restricted. I don't know what the relevance to that was. No, I do know it. All right. So this morning, get up, no run. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm used to it at this point in time. I haven't run for a week. It's officially a week today I haven't run. So I was like, right, all I've got to do is get ready for work. I do that in a reasonable time frame. Leave the house what I would call late. Because, that's what you do when you get up and you don't have the half an hour's worth of running to do. You leave the house late. That makes that makes perfect sense. So I'm like, right, okay, we've got to get over, I've got to drop the boy off, and then I've got to get it to work. Drop the boy off with almost no real incident. I managed to get parked outside, which is unusual, but, I was like, well, there we go. I get into the car. I set off to drive to work. Coming down the street. Coming down the street is a street sweeper. Something I've never, in what will now be 5 years of going to the nursery, never seen down that street. Now, some of you might think, well, it's probably time then. It probably needed a good clean. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Never seen down that street. There's a problem with that street because the way it works is everybody parks on the left, completely taking out the left-hand lane. The street sweeper's coming the other way, and as I'm sure you're aware, not the quickest of vehicles. So I proceeded to sit and wait for the street sweeper. Now, this is a perfect opportunity to be irrationally angry about something. I could sit and F and Jeff and everything else, or I could just sit there and go, There's literally nothing I can do about this, so I'll just sit here and wait. Street sweeper came past. The man gave me a jolly wave, and I then waited for all the cars that were behind the street sweeper that had built up for them to go past. And then there was this sort of traffic jam behind where I was, because obviously there was cars behind me that were waiting. And cars parked on the street. So then there was just this massive traffic jam. This was at the point I started kind of chuckling to myself, I mean, you can't write this sort of thing. This is hilarious, obviously. Eventually it sort of clears enough that I can kind of get through and I'm off. I'm on my way. Away we go. I turn the corner, I go down the street, I cross the crossing. To come to a full standstill. The reason for this is because there is a truck parked diagonally across the road. It's blocking both sides of the road. It is also parked partially on the grass verge and pavement. It is a skip lorry. And it has taken this point in time to collect a skip. Okay. Yep. Fair enough. Seems right. Fine. Okay. There's a problem. I'm sure you can imagine. There's a problem. The problem is that the skip is sideways. So if you think about if you put a skip on a drive, it would be, forwards to backwards. You wouldn't put a skip on a driveway sideways. But you could put a skip sideways on a grass verge. And that's what had happened. However, to pick up and drop off a skip at a house, you would want to reverse up to the drive, drop the skip off forwards to backwards, unhook it and drive away. Or in our case, break some paving slabs in the process. Because, yeah. So, when your skip is sideways on, yeah, it's kind of difficult to line your skip lorry up with a side-to-side skip. What you can do is you can get 3 of the 4 hooks onto said skip, but no matter what you try, you cannot get the 4th hook onto the skip. But don't let that stop you trying every conceivable combination of ways about doing it. As I sat and watched this and watched the time tick by and think, this is life. This is life for me at the moment. This is my life. This is my experience. This is it. I proceeded to take my previous chuckle and turn it into a roaring cackle, because it was not. I wasn't laughing at what I was watching. I was laughing at the situation. I was laughing at who the fuck saves half an hour on a morning and leaves the house late? There's no reason for it. Who goes, hey, I managed to get parked outside nursery. There's a win. And then has to sit for 10 minutes and wait for a street sweeper. Who, 2 corners later, has to sit for another 10 minutes and watch a man who, to give him his dues, bless him, he really tried and he really persevered, and in the end he got it. But fuck me, he tried every combination known to man. And then some. I'm pretty sure he summoned a demon at some point and was like, can you help me hook this on here? And the demon was like, nah, mate, the physics are wrong. I was howling with laughter at this point. At which point, I went on my journey, hit no traffic, went through a load of green lights, and got parked up and wandered myself off to work, and was just like, if I didn't have bad luck, as they say. I'm going to tell you a little story, and by little story, it ain't going to be little. It's a long story because it started over 20 years ago. Yeah, well, that one's sinking, won't you? So, I think it was about 23 years ago. There or thereabouts. I had a medical problem that started as a spot and turned into a bit more of a bigger spot, and it turned into a thing that's it's not a spot anymore. It's a big thing. And then after that, it turned into a thing that meant that I was no longer able to sit, lie down, etc. And at the point in time it reached, I also couldn't stand. I was a bit in the camp of, damn it, I'm going to have to go to see the doctor. Now, there was a big reason I didn't want to go to the doctor, because I didn't want to have to show the doctor because of where it was. So I was like, fuck. Well, so this is another fine mess you've got me into, I said to myself. I booked to go see a doctor. I was like, I think I've got a bit of a spot. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, you've explained it. I'm going to need to see it. I was like, fuck. Fine. It's like, go behind the curtain and expose the area. Like, right, okay. So I did that, and the doctor took one look and was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, what? And the doctor's like, take this letter, go immediately to the hospital. You should have come here weeks ago. You are mental. Go. I'm like, okay. Off I go to the hospital. Absolutely no clue what's happening. I'm like, it's a bit more. Maybe it's above the doctor's pay grade. Maybe it's that. I go to the doctor. I go to the hospital. I give the hospital the letter. This was 23 years ago when you could go to the hospital and get seen by someone. So I hand them the letter, and they're like, all right, cool. Somebody will be with you. I get called to be seen, and have to go through the whole process again. Oh, let's have a look. And yes, okay, right, we'll get you in for surgery this afternoon. And I went, I'm sorry, what? Surgery? And they were like, because no one explains to you what's going on. I was like, absolutely not. I'm here with like a jacket and a letter. And they're like, oh, you've got a massive abscess which needs to be removed. And the way we do that is with surgery. Oh, sidebar, if you'd have come sooner, we could have just given you some antibiotics and it would have probably gone away. Shit. Cool. Okay, let's do this. I was completely unprepared. I had to sort of try and get in touch with Leanne and say, okay, that thing that we thought was just a spot, it turns out it's an abscess, and apparently they need to remove it through surgery, and I think they're going to put me to sleep. Can you bring me some clothes? And thus began the saga of the abscess. From there was a surgery. This was the point in time where I discovered that I was allergic to morphine. One of the 1% of people that morphine makes aggressive. I've only ever met one other person who has the same thing. I had an operation. It took 5.5 months to heal, at which point I went to see the same surgeon and he took one look at it and went, yeah, that's reoccurred. We need to operate again. They got me in that day. They were like, don't worry, we're not going to go through the same healing process. We're just going to glue you back together at this point. So that's what they did. And I was back at work in a week. And over the next 10 years, I had a variety of different sort of, not reoccurrences, but like I would injure the area, or like the area would be, it would like harden, or all these different sort of ailments. And then basically for the last 10 years, nothing. And there you go. That's my story. Or at least I thought it was my story up until about 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I go to the gym, I sit down on the bench, and I went, ooh, that tickles. That's a little bit of discomfort. That's uncomfortable. That sort of discomfort rings a faint bell. And I managed to get myself comfy, and I went about doing my workout. That was that. However, every time I've sat down on the bench in the gym, similar sort of situation. This carried on for a couple of weeks, and then last week, quite a severe change over the course of a week. It went from bad to worse, and I'm like, the hell is going on here? Conversation with Leanne where I was like, there's something going on, and she was like, look, do you remember the conversation last time where they were like, if you'd have come to us sooner, we could have done something. You don't want to be that guy. I was like, yeah, but you can't see a doctor these days. And I'm absolutely not going to the hospital to wait 12 hours to be seen by someone. So the fuck am I supposed to do? She was like, you are able to see a doctor these days. You've just got to go about it the right way. She was like, fill in the form on the online thing and they'll get back to you. She was like, make sure you say this, this, and this, because those are the key things they need to know. You had an operation. Everything's been fine. All of a sudden, it seems like it's not fine. Those things are important pieces of information. So I said, fine. Obviously, at the same time as all this is going on, as we talked about last week, I also went and had a tattoo done. In hindsight, that wasn't the best move, but we'll get to that. So, I fill in the form, which I hate doing anyway. I just want to pick the phone up and say, can I see a doctor? For them to go, fuck off. I fill the form in. When it gets to the bit where it's like, what do you want? I was like, I had an operation over 20 years ago. For the first 10 years, it was a bit up and down. For the last decade, it's been fine up until 3 weeks ago, where it was a bit uncomfortable. And over the course of the last week, it's not been great. It's caused me some issues sitting and lying down. I was like, I thought that would sort of flag up enough to maybe have something. I had a phone call from a doctor. That's right, ladies and gents. Apparently, previous operation areas that start acting out are a cause for concern, because I had a phone call from a doctor who said, what the hell's going on? And I went, well, I put all the information on the form, didn't I? They were like, can we see you? Can you come in? I was like, I mean, I can. When? They were like, now. Right. Huh? Like, yeah, now. Come now. Right. Oh. Okay. So I jumped in the car and drove to the doctor's. I got there. I was like, can't be many people here. Car park's practically empty. So I went in, and as I was going in, there was an older gentleman coming out. And I went to the front desk, and there was nobody there, which I thought was weird, because I knew there had been someone there literally 0.2 seconds earlier. Like, okay. I look round the waiting room, and it was empty. Not a single person there. So, after a little while, I rang the bell, because no one had come. And after a little while longer, I rang the bell a little bit louder and got somebody from the back who was like, "I'll be with you in a minute." Like, I'm sure, once you're all done having a fantastic whale of a time out the back there, laughing and joking like a load of fucking schoolgirls, I'm sure you'll come and deal with me. Minute or so later, a woman comes from the back with a face like, fucking Norma. Physically, could not have looked more miserable. Could not have looked more uninterested. It was honestly like it was the worst thing she'd ever had to do. And was just like, when somebody's like, I'm supposed to be helpful, I'm supposed to be, supposed to deal with you at this point in time, but I really don't want to. So that's how their sort of mannerisms are. So it was like, can I help you? I've spoken to a doctor and they told me to come in to see them. Name. So I gave my name. Right, take a seat. Right. Okay. So I went and sat in the empty waiting room, and I was like, where are all the fucking people? Where are all the people that need to see doctors? Did every single person that needed to see a doctor just vanish off the face of the earth? Is that what happened? I don't, I know I've talked about this before, but I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's beyond me. So I waited about 10 minutes or so, again wondering what the hell the doctor was doing at the time, because it wasn't like there was anybody there for them to see. So it wasn't like there was somebody in. I'm like, there's no one here. But eventually the doctor came. Mr. Cook, come on in. I go in. Again, have to go through all of my ins and outs and ups and downs, and I was like, obviously you can only put so much in the box, so here's the full story. And she was like, right, okay. Need to have a look. I was like, fuck. When you give a lot of information in the hope that it negates the need for something. I was like, but I told you things. Personal things. Anyway, I was like, right, fine. She was like, go behind the curtain. I'm like, no, I don't like it. I'm like, right, okay. She was like, she gave me like
some instructions. I was like, oh, bro. Unfortunately for me, it was that Family Guy episode where Peter talks about going to the doctors. I was like, oh, God. She was like, let me know when you're ready. I was like, oh, no. Dude. I was like, I'm ready. She comes in and she's like, no, that's no good. No, we need to find a way to make it more embarrassing. And she was like, move like this, turn like this, put this here, do this, do that, do the other. I'm like, fine. And very much like a previous surgeon I could mention, she took one look and she went, yeah, it's reoccurring. I was like, what the hell are you on about? She was like, yeah, it's reoccurring. These things have a high reoccurrence rate. I was like, but I haven't had anything in a decade. So to say it's a high reoccurrence rate, she was like, it'll also be affecting this, it'll be affecting that, it'll be affecting the other, it'll be affecting your leg. I was like, fuck. And was basically like, I'll prescribe you some medication and send you on your way. I was like, cool. She's like, can you get this medication today? I was like, yes, I'll just go to the chemist now. She's like, right, I'll send you a prescription to the chemist. I was like, cool, thank you, doctor. And I'm walking away like, what the fuck? 23 years. And then all of a sudden my body's like, hey, remember that time that we did that thing that was loads of fun? It took the best part of a year to get over. Let's do that. So there you go. I'm happy to report, touch wood, that so far things are well and truly on the mend. But yeah, what a fucking week. At least I could break my week up with TV, movies, and computer games. So, here we go. Me and Leanna watched Series 3, Episode 3, 4, and 5 of Reacher. I think I said, having seen the first couple of episodes, that the writing for this series is fucking atrocious. Let me go on record and say that is still the case. Fuck me, the writing's terrible. I mean, terrible. However, Episode 4 was actually really good. They did the, why do you hate this guy so much? And Rich was like, let me take you back in time. And it was, spoilers by the way, it was back to sort of like his military days and hows and whys. And that was a really, really good episode. And then we watched episode 5 this evening and it was just back to the same terrible writing. And I'm like, did you burn yourselves out writing episode 4? Is that the problem? Fuck a duck. When it finished, when episode 5 finished, Leon went, look at it this way, we've only got 3 more to get through. I was like, wow, there's a glowing review. Speaking of glowing reviews, we watched episode 3 and 4 of Bondsman, The Bondsman. This one suffers from a different issue. The issue is that the episodes aren't long enough. Episodes are only half an hour and they really don't give you all that much. Episode 4 was kind of the bad guy, the monster of the week was less of an issue in the episode, whereas it decided to give you a little bit more character progression, I guess you'd say. It's good. I enjoy it. I think I just want more of it. Like, I want more. I think they should, it should have probably been a 45-minute episode kind of deal. But yeah, I will certainly stick with it. I don't think Leanne really likes it, and I do wonder whether she might potentially bail on it. So we'll see on that one. Let me grab a quick drink before diving into the movies. 4 to talk about. 3 of them are new, so one of them won't get much play. I just wanted to sort of mention something. I took the children to see Lilo and Stitch. I took 3 of the children to see Lilo and Stitch. Live action remake, which is always a bit... yeah. You know what I mean. But I knew I wasn't going to get it. 2 of my daughters had mentioned it to me independently. And were like, did you know there's a Lilo and Stitch movie on at the cinema at the moment? I was like, funnily enough, I did. So we went to see that. A few things. Shortest version, it was fantastic. It was really good. It was great. Me and my youngest daughter, and I think my son, watched Lilo and Stitch 2 the day before. And interestingly enough, there was some stuff from Lilo and Stitch 2 that was in the live action Lilo and Stitch, which I thought was interesting because I hadn't seen that before. And I was like, I'm glad I saw that. Otherwise I'd be like, oh, what's all this new stuff? It's had some criticism because it doesn't end the same way. And I was like, okay, it doesn't end the same way. I think it ends better. So, fuck you on about. Stitch is great. The fact that Zach Galifianakis is one of the guys in it, and it took me half of the film going, is that Zach Galifianakis or not? To then, toward the back end, start going, pretty sure it is. It's very off-putting. The girl they've got to play Lilo is absolutely phenomenal. The fact that obviously she will have been acting to nothing, the CG Stitch won't have been there. She, genuinely, I feel like there's some sort of Oscar-worthy performance going on there because she was fantastic. The person they've got playing Nanny, the older sister, was terrible. And if you think about the fact that essentially those are the main characters outside of what for this purpose is a CG animated character, real cross-section. It feels like they maybe spent all of their time searching for Lilo and didn't put any time or effort into searching for other parts and roles. Tia Carrera was in it. Obviously, it's been a few years since Wayne's World, so she played a very different role to the sort of things you'd expect to see her in. But then, yeah, like I say, a lot of years have passed since that time. It was just really good. It was really well done. It was great. I enjoyed it. I am happy. I was happy that I'd taken them to the cinema to see it. I thought it was definitely worth that trip in the end. I say I wasn't going to get away with not taking them, but I think realistically I was like, yeah, we should go. And we did, and they enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it, and I'll enjoy watching it again when it comes on Disney Plus. Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, on the other hand. Now, here's a film that I genuinely believe that me and my eldest could have done a full 1.5 hour podcast on. The reason for that is that Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, is way too much of a movie. It's too long. It's far, 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 far too long. and it is far too much movie for one movie. And I know that sounds like it's almost like a marketing thing that Hollywood would use. Too much movie for one movie, but it was obviously, the point is it was supposed to be 3 parts, this whole saga. And then Dead Reckoning got terrible reviews. Which we watched Dead Reckoning the night before. I think my eldest wanted to refresh her memory before going off to watch a 3-hour movie. And rightly so. I think she made the right choice. So we sat and watched that. And I was like, yeah, I think there is a reason it got bad reviews. I thought that originally. I didn't think it was all that great. And the biggest thing being is, we did this motorbike stunt. Yeah, but we all know how you did it, and it doesn't look as good in the film. So you kind of wasted your time there. I saw a review of Final Reckoning that said the best thing that they did for it was to hide the big stunts, the big set-piece stunts, because they are the standout parts of the film, and they'd ruined it for Dead Reckoning, and I fully agreed. I was like, I don't know what those bits look like, so yes, I agree. It was just too much. Especially for the fact that this one's doing well. They should have stuck to the 3-movie thing. I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to review this without going into depth. It was good. It's a good 6, 7 out of 10 movie. The key big moments in it were good. I will say this because I don't feel this is a spoiler, because there's a lot of it being shown in the trailers and stuff. But the submarine section is truly oppressive. I felt stressed out watching it. I don't generally get that way with movies. I fully understand it's a film. I fully understand it's a story. I understand, that there are special effects and blah, blah, blah. I just felt like there were points in time where I was like, oh my God, it's just too much. And that's how the film was for me as a movie. It was just too much. I wish they'd have gone with the 3-movie option. They should have stuck to their guns with that one, I think. Another criticism is they did one of those things where, where a film or a TV show does a flash forward where they show like fast cut clip type things of what's going to happen in the rest of the film. So you basically knew what was coming. It was so weird. I kind of meant to Google something. A lot of the characters in the film referred to Tom Cruise by a particular name all the way through it. And I kind of wondered why, what relevance it had. Also, I expected that it was going to be some big switcheroo or a big ruse, or I thought there was a bad guy who was going to be a good guy and a good guy was going to be a bad guy. None of that happened. And I also I didn't like the way they portrayed Gabriel, who was one of the bad guys from Dead Reckoning. It felt very much like the difference between Thanos in Endgame and Thanos in Infinity Wars. Obviously, in Infinity Wars, he was fantastic. And in Endgame, he was just generic purple bad guy. It was very much that for the Gabriel character. I have absolutely no idea why they made the choice they did for Final Reckoning and that character. But yeah, it was just too much, and it's too much to review. I could talk for hours about it, or I could talk for, as I said to my eldest, ultimately the first line of your review is your review, and my first line was it was too much. It was too long. I had to run to the toilet, and I eventually checked my watch to see how long the film had been on, and it had been on for an hour, and I was convinced it had been on for at least a minimum of 90 minutes, and I looked and saw it had been on for an hour, and I was like, you motherfuckers. Also, side note, we got there, 7:30. We got seated, and away we go. 10 minutes worth of adverts. Okay. Then the film trailers start. 10 minutes of film trailers. By this point, I'm like, fuck a duck. Switched back to adverts at this point, and I am nearly screaming at the screen, can we start the fucking movie? I am genuinely considering turning up late to every film in future. We went to see Lilo and Stitch, and we were late, and I mean late. And by the time we found our seats, had to turf people out, tell some people they were in the wrong seats who apparently couldn't count. All of this eventually got sat down. At the moment I put my bottom on a seat, the title card for the film came up, the rating and stuff, and I was like, well, I mean, that is the best version of timing, I think, ever. So, sweet. A film that I'm not going to go into, but I'm going to talk about like a different side of a movie is this. My eldest daughter and Leanne came home on Saturday afternoon. And Leanne's like, your daughter wants to watch Indiana Jones. I was like, the fuck? She's like, yeah, she showed an interest in watching Indiana Jones. And I was like, okay. She was like, which one's first? Temple of Doom? I was like, no, it's Raiders. She was like, you sure? I was like, pretty sure it's Raiders. She looked up, she's like, it's Raiders. I was like, there you go. Gets close to the evening. I was like, what film are you watching this evening? Expecting her to throw out the old, let's watch Batman. Indiana Jones. I'm like, really? Yeah. Okay then, you are old enough to watch it, so there's no reason you can't watch it, so crack on. And that was that. She watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. Enjoyed it, as far as I could tell. And that was that. I was very much in that camp of, can you imagine living in a world having never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? Can you imagine your existence both before and after? I get very excited for these things. I get very sort of like, oh my God, you're going to watch the 1989 Batman movie. And at this moment in time, you live in a world where you haven't seen it. And in 2 hours, you will live in a world where you will have seen the 1989 Batman movie. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Let's do this. Come on. Yes. And it's just like, wow. I just think it's cool. Finally, for the movies, I've had my eye on a couple of films, mostly because they are a part 1 and a part 2. What are they, I hear you ask? A little while ago, there was an animated version. Sorry, I'm just shuffling. Animated version of The Watchmen. It was long, so it was split into 2 parts. And I thought I'd quite like to see them. Unfortunately, because it had been 2 parts, and I've been obviously having to buy both parts, I found that they were a little rich for my blood at £10 a pop. But every week, I set a little reminder on my phone. Every week on a Friday, I would check and see if they'd come down in price. And I promised myself that when they came down in price, I would purchase them both and I would watch them. Because everything I'd seen from them, I was like, it looks really nice. It looks really good. And I really like The Watchmen. Last Friday, I had a look. And they came down to £8 each. And I went, £8 is still a bit expensive. £16 for the pair. 3 hours. 16 quid. What can you do? What can you get for 16 quid these days that'll certainly last you 3 hours? So I was like, do you know what? I said, when they come down in price, I will buy them as a treat for myself. So that's what I did. And almost surprisingly, I watched the first part, chapter 1 of the animated Watchmen. It's really good. It looks really nice. It really transfers well. Obviously, it was a comic, graphic novel, however you want to put it, before it was the Zack Snyder movie that it was. So, translates real well. It's almost like translating it back again. Good couple of sort of style changes. I need to go back. I've bought the director's cut of Watchmen to watch, which is nearly 4 hours long. Looking forward to that. I need to go back and look at the time period because I feel like the animated one, the time period's different. I feel it's like I think it feels, I'm sure it's saying like it's like 1985 or something. Which I can't remember if the original set at that same time. But there's all these like electric cars driving around. I was like, I don't think I remember that from the original, like the movie version. So I feel like I need to go and just double check those things. But I watched the animated Watchmen, Chapter 1, Part 1, however you want to put it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very good. I look forward to seeing the second part. Computer games. I have bought 2 new games. I know I'm shocked as much as you. Me buying computer games. Who could have thunk it? Saw an offer for a game that I kind of seen and didn't have a lot of interest, but then a friend of mine had mentioned it, and then I'd watched a couple of reviews for it, and I was a bit like, do you know something? It's kind of piquing my interest, and it's cheap. So I put the two together, and very much like the Watchmen films, I decided to treat myself. I bought the game The Precinct. The principle of The Precinct is, think of the original version of Grand Theft Auto, the top-down version of Grand Theft Auto. That originally was going to be a cops and robbers kind of game. And then at not necessarily the last minute, but at a certain point in time, they decided to switch it to the other side of the law and make it a game about the bad guys rather than the good guys. This works on the principle, what if you modernized it and left it as the good guys? So you are a policeman, and you go out in the town, in the city, and you drive around. Again, it's set in the 80s. You drive around and you arrest criminals, and you stop crimes, and you do car chases, and you do helicopter chases, and you have shootouts, and you do all this in a not quite top-down, more side-down version. It plays really well on the Steam Deck. It plays beautifully well on the Steam Deck. Kind of feels like it was built for the Steam Deck, one of those kind of games. Really nice game. Plays well, feels good. The shooting could be a little better. One criticism. When it tells you how to do stuff in the sort of tutorial section of the game, it tells you once and it never tells you again. As it stands at this point in time, I have no idea how to reload the gun. Because it told me once, and I did it once, I've never done it, and I can't remember how to do it now, and I've pressed all the buttons, and I can't remember. So I probably need to look that up. Unfortunately for myself and everybody involved, I did crack in the end, and I did purchase the remaster of Oblivion. Again, found it for nice and cheap, and apparently it was a time for treating myself. So used the fact that I could get it cheap and a voucher to get 10% off, and made that purchase. Installed the 118 gig game to the Steam Deck, because it is very much Steam Deck compatible. Speaking of, what is the Steam Deck telling me? Oh yes, it's doing an update for Paw Patrol, and has decided that it doesn't want to work. The old Steam Deck's not been having a good time of things recently. It's a little bit, I don't know what you would call it. A bit glitchy. Stitch has glitch. Currently saying it has no Wi-Fi and not responding. So that's comforting. So I bought, paid for, installed, and started playing Oblivion. I got my eldest daughter to create a character for me, because she loves character creation. If you ever need a game character creating, give her a call, because she'll absolutely come and create you a mean-looking character. And off I went into the world, and fuck, bro. Whew. Yeah. It's been a while, but god damn it, it's good to be back. Me and Oblivion had a bit of a time, had a bit of a moment. I played it a lot. I finished it 3 times, I think. I had DLCs. I had a actual physical book walkthrough of the game. It was at one point it was kind of my everything as far as games were concerned. And then that was that, and then Skyrim came along. So we all know what happened there, don't we? But the remaster is gorgeous. The game has added a couple of quality of life type things, because you can now run, which is a real novelty and a little bit of a weird one to get used to, because I was used to jumping everywhere just to increase my agility stats. A friend of mine told me that Oblivion was a terrible game even in 2008, and I told him to shut his whore mouth. And if he wants to talk bad about Oblivion, I'll come over there and defend Oblivion's honour. Oblivion's a great game. I don't care what anyone says. It's a fantastic game. Obviously, I did struggle a little bit playing it last night, going, where the fuck am I supposed to go now? But that's the charm of it. I am going to try not to put 100 hours into Oblivion, but no promises were made, let's put it that way. Finally, yes, I may or may not have been ever so slightly cheating whilst playing Into the Radius 2 recently. I think I'd said last week that I'd found a different mod with a different version of the save, and I hoped that it was going to make for a better playthrough of the game. So far, touch wood, it has made for a much better playthrough so far. So, really enjoying playing through it this way. I'm keeping I'm keeping my levels the way they would be in the game. So I haven't taken all the best weapons you can get. I haven't taken all the best whatever you can get. I've just taken what would have been available at the level that I would have been at starting the game and leveling up once. I just have a lot of it. So, you know, I don't think that's the worst thing. Is it wrong that I kind of want to buy the Quest version? Yes, it is, because it's very expensive. So, you know. Anyway, I'm sure there was something I meant to mention about VR. Now, I'd seen this announcement yesterday, but I'm not sure how true it is, so I don't really want to be saying something and find out it's not true. Although I did see an announcement yesterday for they're releasing a Turtles VR game, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then when I was on the Meta Store this evening looking for something, the Turtles game is there as a coming soon pre-order thing. I was like, wow, working quick there, people. Right, there we go. That is this week's podcast. I will catch you next time.
So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. Man, I've said it about 1,000 times. You'd think I'd know it by now. You can go to the website, you can click one of those options, and you can get in touch with us. How about that? Let's leave it there, shall we? Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to CookieCast. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.